the scandal-plagued politician Trump refused to abandon. In American politics, scandals usually end careers. A corruption investigation can destroy a campaign. A criminal indictment can end a politician's future. An impeachment can become a permanent stain. And repeated controversies often make voters walk away. But Ken Paxton never seemed to follow those rules. For years, the Texas Attorney General has been surrounded by investigations, accusations, lawsuits, political enemies, and national headlines. Yet somehow, he kept surviving, and in 2026, he achieved what many believed was impossible. Backed by Donald Trump, Paxton defeated one of the most powerful Republicans in America, Senator John Cornyn. The victory shocked Washington because this was not simply another Senate primary. It was a test of power, a test of loyalty, and perhaps most importantly, a test of whether scandal still matters in modern politics. For years, Paxton carried political baggage that would have destroyed many careers. He faced securities fraud allegations dating back to 2015. He was investigated repeatedly. Political opponents portrayed him as one of the most controversial figures in Texas government. Then came the event that many believed would finally end his rise. Impeachment. In 2023, the Republican-controlled Texas House voted to impeach Ken Paxton. The situation was unprecedented. This was not Democrats attacking a Republican. This was Republicans turning against one of their own. The accusations were explosive: abuse of power, improper relationship with donors, whistleblower retaliation, corruption allegations, misuse of office. National media immediately began treating the scandal as a political death sentence. But something unexpected happened. Paxton survived. The Texas Senate ultimately acquitted him, allowing him to return to office. And after surviving impeachment, he became even stronger among many conservative voters. Why? Because many supporters stopped viewing him as a scandal-plagued politician. Instead, they began viewing him as a political target, someone being attacked by the establishment, someone constantly under siege, someone fighting against powerful institutions. That perception transformed his image. Every investigation became proof of persecution. Every controversy became proof that enemies wanted him gone. And in modern politics, that narrative can be incredibly powerful, especially inside the MAGA movement. That is where Donald Trump enters the story. For years, Paxton positioned himself as one of Trump's most loyal political allies. He supported Trump during major legal battles. He backed efforts surrounding the 2020 election disputes. He became known as one of the strongest pro-Trump officials in Texas. As a result, many voters stopped judging Paxton through traditional political standards. Instead, they judged him through the lens of loyalty. Was he loyal to Trump? Was he fighting the establishment? Was he advancing the MAGA movement? For many Republican primary voters, those questions became more important than the scandals themselves. That shift changed everything because once politics becomes tribal, controversies often lose their power. Supporters stop asking whether accusations exist. They start asking who is making the accusations and whether they trust those people. By the time the 2026 Senate race arrived, Paxton had transformed from a controversial state official into something much larger, a symbol, a symbol of the MAGA movement in Texas, a symbol of anti-establishment politics, and ultimately a symbol of survival. Because despite years of investigations, headlines, accusations, and political attacks. Ken Paxton was still standing, and he was about to face the biggest political battle of his life. How Trump's most loyal ally survived everything. When Ken Paxton entered the Senate race, many Republican strategists were nervous. Some feared he would lose, others feared he would damage the party, and many believed his long list of controversies would finally catch up with him. Instead, the opposite happened. Paxton didn't just survive, he won, and he won decisively. To understand how that happened, you have to understand how American politics has changed. For decades, political survival depended on avoiding scandal. Today, political survival often depends on surviving scandal. There is a difference. Modern voters increasingly view politics through competing narratives. One side sees corruption, the other side sees persecution. One side sees investigations, the other side sees political warfare. And few politicians embody that reality more than Ken Paxton. Throughout his career, opponents repeatedly argued that his controversies made him unelectable, but many Republican voters reached a completely different conclusion. They believed Paxton was being targeted precisely because he was effective, precisely because he was conservative, precisely because he fought the establishment. That belief became one of his greatest political weapons. Then Donald Trump endorsed him, and everything changed. Trump's endorsement became the defining moment of the race, because the Texas Senate primary was never only about Ken Paxton, it was about the future of the Republican Party. John Cornyn represented the old Republican establishment, experience, institutional, traditional. Paxton represented something different, a new generation of Republican politics shaped by Trump's movement, a movement built on confrontation, distrust of institutions, and loyalty to the MAGA base. That is why the race attracted national attention. Observers were not simply watching a Senate primary, they were watching a power struggle inside the Republican Party itself. And when Paxton won, many analysts viewed the result as another sign of Trump's continuing influence over the GOP. But the victory created a new problem. Winning the primary was one thing, winning a statewide general election would be another. Democrats immediately shifted their strategy. Instead of treating Paxton as an unstoppable force, they focused directly on his controversies, his impeachment, his investigations, his legal troubles, his reputation. They believed those issues could become weaknesses with moderate voters. Yet Paxton supporters remained confident because they had watched him survive every major challenge before: indictments, investigations, impeachment, media scrutiny, internal Republican opposition. Again and again, he emerged politically alive. That history created an almost mythological image among supporters: a politician who could never be taken down, a survivor, a fighter, a man who kept winning when everyone predicted his downfall. Whether that image is deserved remains fiercely debated. But politically, it has been remarkably effective because in modern American politics, perception can become reality. And the perception surrounding Ken Paxton is unlike almost any other Republican politician in America. To critics, he represents everything wrong with modern politics. To supporters, he represents resistance against a political system they no longer trust. That divide explains why his story continues attracting national attention, because the rise of Ken Paxton is not only about one politician, it is about the transformation of American politics itself, a political era where scandal no longer guarantees defeat, where controversy can strengthen loyalty, and where surviving attacks can become more powerful than avoiding them in the first place.